But what I want to move on to before we finish up is the FIA presidency. Now, we did a whole episode on this a little while ago on Mohammed Ben Sulayem and and I'm quoting now because it's now been brought up again, reign of terror. Um, so Tim Mayer, who you may remember was second in charge in the FIA, a couple of years, resigned or was pushed out last year, has announced formally that he will be running for president of the FIA against Ben Sulayem. I think it's December vote at the end of the year. And in his announcement, he said that he is running to end Ben Sulayem's reign of terror. Really harsh words, really accurate words, I think, because I think we're all in agreement that Ben Sulayem sucks. James, you're nodding your head there. What's your initial reaction to hearing that there might finally be someone to challenge the dictator in charge of the FIA?
Yeah, it's always good. Always good. I was worried about these sort of unopposed presidential elections. Reminds me a bit of Sepp Blatter during the his FIFA years. And I do think it's always worry when the FI presidency, like tries to become the guy. I know he obviously runs the thing, but like, how many times do you remember seeing Jean Todt, waddle around the track? And even I know Max Mosley got up to some mischief in his personal life, which caused him to get into the public eye, but most of the time they were in the background doing their thing. Well, it's clear that Ben Simmons made it his mission to be the man. So I know, and that many people don't resign and have that many issues if it's not, there's no smoke without fire. They're all consistent, and we've all agreed that the NDAs not make force people to sign NDAs before they do anything, and that in the FIA, and you either do it my way or the highway. It's just not the way you're going to run an international conglomerate of sports. So hopefully Tim Meyer does a good job. I was hoping for Carlos Sainz Senior. I think that would have been pretty
Mm.
cool. But then he pulled out and I can't remember what he said. It was like it didn't seem to fit well with what he wanted to do. So that's fair enough. I think he was going to get in the way of his rallying. So that would have been good. But we need people to challenge, especially someone that's been done so badly. We can't just let them go unopposed in an election to get another 5 years or however long it is. So I'm happy that we've got an objector and obviously someone that's very high up in the FIA, lots of experience, well respected. So it should be a tight run, because I think Ben Simmons is probably going to have some votes, have some people that he's put in positions to back him up and do all that sort of stuff. So hopefully it works out and we get the right guy, because I just think it's just not worked out and we need a change.
Yeah, we for sure completely agree. Ben Sulayem has pretty publicly said that he's just going to remove or fire people who dare to challenge him, and he
Mm.
wants to bring in literally laws within the FIA to say that he can't be challenged. Like he's going
Yeah,
full dictator.
yeah,
Even certain orange-colored people in America haven't got that bad yet.
yeah, yeah.
For background, in case you're unaware of him, Tim Mayer is the son of the co-founder of the McLaren Formula One team, Teddy Mayer. So he goes way back in motorsport.
That's why we like
Was
him.
Yes, it is. Was a long-standing FIA steward. He was an FIA steward for 15 years. He maintains to this day that he was sacked by Ben Sulayem. He did not resign, even though that's pretty much what Ben Sulayem says. Um, and he said in his announcement that if you look at the number of people, I'm quoting here, if you look at the number of people who have resigned from the FIA or who have gone in with the best intentions but cannot affect change or say, no, this is a bad idea, Mr. President, and then get sacked, it's a reign of terror. You're wondering what the next scandal is, he said. Um, Very, very interesting. He's been very openly critical of Ben Sulayem. He's not the only one. He said, we have the illusion of transparency and engagement, and perhaps most corrosive, the illusion of integrity, dictatorship. We have witnessed wave after wave of statute amendments ushering in the greatest centralization of power in the FIA's history. These are really, really strong words, Coops. It really
Mm.
does sound like an actual political campaign, but um, it's not quite that severe. But at the end of the day, like the FIA is an absolutely massive organization, global organization, and it is being run by a small-minded dictator. Let's call it what it is.
Well, it's a man who has an ego and wants to keep a hold of power. I mean, we have not heard of that before.
Mm.
And interestingly, on the 6th of July, Andrew Benson from BBC has reported that Britain's representative on the FIA Senate has been removed by Ben Sulayem.
Yeah, he's just
Uh,
axing people left, right, and center.
Ben Cousins, Vice President of the Royal Automobile Club, has been on the Senate for 3.5 years, after supporting Ben Sulayem's candidature for presidency originally. He's been replaced by Azerbaijani Anar Albakarov, if I've said that right. The Senate is the FIA body responsible for financial oversight and governance structure. Interestingly, the the rules were changed recently. The removal comes just weeks after a change to the rules governing body composition at the General Assembly. They gave the FIA President the power to appoint or dismiss the required 4 independent and qualified, quote-unquote, members of the Senate. Previously, the President could only propose an appointment, but it had to be agreed by the rest of the members. He now has sole control over which independent person is on the Senate, and the Senate is there to control the financial governance.
He also apparently
lads,
has control of
Crazy.
the 36 member clubs, or from 36 member clubs. The FIA structure is quite complicated. I don't have all the information on it, but this is from the Guardian's report on this whole thing. They say the FIA structure heavily favors the incumbent against the challenger, and Ben Sulayem recently received a letter of support from 36 member clubs, which Mayor thinks is bullshit, and good for him. He said, quote, "When a letter is shoved under your nose and you're told, sign this or else, anyone is going to sign it," he said, quoting again, "but the only vote that counts are in December. That process will still have full democracy," end quote. So he's basically saying they signed it under duress. They don't mean it. And when it comes to presumably a closed ballot in December, they're all going to go, fuck you, you're not going to know if I voted for you or not. But Ben Sulayem seems to have his hand in every single honeypot, so he probably has like little spy rats in the voting booths for all we know.
I mean, it's going to be close. It's not
Yeah,
going to
well,
be a
no, it
thing,
won't be a walkover.
because it won't be a walkover. There'll be one or the other. I won't be surprised if either are or in it.
Mm.
Interestingly, I just didn't realize the extent of the people that have questioned him, and it says even the BBC have said there that President's dismissal follows the removal of senior figures, all apparently because they have disagreed or clashed with Ben Sulayem. These include Tim Mayer, who we've discussed, Chief Executive Officer Natalie Robin, FIA Race Director Niels Vittage, Compliance Officer Pablo Basri, and the head of the Audit Committee, money again.
See those again, even those roles, like
Yeah,
you're in dispute with the wrong sort of roles there.
yeah,
The audit
Bertrand
committee.
Badri. Robert Reid resigned his position as the Vice President for Sport in March over what he
Yeah,
described as standards breakdown within the FIA.
yeah.
These are very specific roles
Yeah.
and very specific opinions, and they all follow a very similar narrative. It's a very scary time if you're
Mhm.
involved in FIA, and for us, it'll filter down one way or the other. But yeah, and I mean, it's not a surprise because UK Motorsport, I think it's Dave Richards, his name is in dispute with Ben Sulayem because they were blocked from one of the recent World Motorsport Council meetings because they refused to sign an NDA. Never had to sign it before. All of a
Mm.
sudden, just as they were about to go into this meeting, sign that. And they're like, no, it's not transparent. We don't care. Well, I'm not doing it. Well, you're not getting in. So they're going to court. There's all sorts of stuff. Like, are we all stupid here? Like, he's not even disguising it anymore. He's
Mm.
literally saying, you don't like me? You're out the door.
Yeah.
You want to talk bad about me? Here, sign this bit of paper. Those
I,
36 clubs that have all said that, right, okay. Like, seriously. Like,
yeah.
to his face, love you, Paul. You're the man. You're the man. I mean, it's the same as a certain politician. I'd imagine there's a lot of people that will be the same, but
Mm.
behind closed doors, oh, that guy's mental. Like,
Hmm.
you just shoot, no chance. It's just unreal how it's playing out.
It will come to a head. I'm trying to just look up what is the actual election date. It is the 12th of December. So the week after The season ends, if I'm not wrong, which is the 7th.
Yeah.
In Kazakhstan for some reason. Not in their head offices
What's
in
in Kazakhstan?
Paris. Um, so that does not sound like an accidental choice, random though it might be, to just blurt it out like that. Something tells me Ben Sulayem probably has a friend or two there if I had to make a sweeping, unsubstantiated educated guess.
I mean,
Um,
the scary thing is though, if he does win, what we getting next? Where does he go? How does
if
he entrench the power? He's going to
if
have
he
an ego
wins,
bigger
if he
than
if he
Spa.
wins, he becomes the Pope of the FIA. He will be there till he dies, or someone
Mm.
hits him with a car. That's what we can expect. Now, with the best one in the world, all of his wild policies don't seem to have yet affected Formula One too badly because, like, while they might be the governing body for Formula One, they're not the rights holders for Formula One, at least not
No,
yet. That might be his plan in his next tenure, if he does, is to take just full commercial control of Formula One and make himself even richer.
I
Um,
don't think he
I don't
can
know
because
how I don't know how he would. I don't know how he
I
would.
think the lease to Formula One for the commercial holders from FIA, their name is like entrenched and stone-clad, and it's very long.
Yeah,
It's
and
Mm.
for
so
Formula One and FOM and the rights holders and all that, Bernie Ecclestone, all of them have all threatened to leave Formula One, which essentially means leave the FIA or
yeah.
leave Formula One or leave FOM, Formula One management multiple times, including a few years ago. So if he went and just started ruling the hammer left, right, and center, the likes of Stefano Domenicali, and Toto Wolff and whomever else would probably just go, we just go do our own thing back on all the old circuits that we all loved, and we'll bring
Mhm.
back V10s. Yeah, cool. All in
Yeah.
agreement? Cool. See you in Jerez. Which would be awesome, actually. Um,
I think there's a power play. There will be a power play between Formula One and the FIA because although
again,
the FIA, but this is going to have a bit more of a bit more meat to the bones. I mean, there was a lot of power playing, and I'm going to take my ball, well, I'm going to take the goals. I mean, kind of knew they weren't really going to do it. Got close, but it was never really going to happen. But I think with the hatred that Ben Sulayem is probably conjuring up with a lot of people, it will get to a point where it's a bit like in a kind of unionized sort of situation where you got your managers turning around to your workforce and saying, if you don't sign this and get a wage cut of 15%, you're sacking you. And the
hmm,
union goes, well, they can't sack everyone,
yeah,
so don't sign it. Like, yeah, one or two people, but if the whole workforce goes no, so when Formula One themselves go, nah, we're not doing that. Like,
we don't
and
need you to govern us anymore. We're
yeah,
a franchise model now. We're the richest sport in the entire world. Bye.
that's just what I was going to say. Like, the money that Formula One generates for the FIA, like, that's a lot of money.
Hmm.
And their budgets are probably set on Formula One because, like, let's face it, Formula One is the tentpole of the FIA, then it filters down to everything else. There'll be some that will be relatively close, but not to the income expenditure kind of, the financials. Uh, it's the main part of what the FIA does, I would imagine. So,
But you
you
wouldn't put it
know,
past if Formula One, again, this is all speculatory and based on him actually winning, Ben Sulayem actually winning again in December, which now is not guaranteed, thankfully. He was having a bit of a Putin moment of just, vanishing people who might um, disagree with him. But for now, at least, Tim Mayer hasn't vanished yet that I know of. I really hope I haven't just jinxed that with my luck. Um, but you wouldn't put it past a few other sports. Like, if Formula One broke away, they could pretty easily take two, three Academy and four with them. They all race in the support ticket of Formula One anyway. They all make their money on the support ticket of Formula One anyway. Why the hell would they want to stay under the arm of the FIA saying, oh, you can't go to Silverstone, go to Brands Hatch instead? It's like, no, no, Formula One are in Silverstone just because you don't own them anymore. You don't control them anymore. We're going to stay with them. We'll go to Silverstone, thanks. Um,
Yeah.
Again, wild speculation. Probably never going to happen, but if it does, we'll clip this in a few years. Um, and it'll go viral. But that'll do it. That was just the one big piece of news that I really, really wanted to bring up because I thought that was really worth talking about. Because while it's not going to affect anything this year, probably not even next year either, it will become a huge talking point towards the end of this season, as the F1 season wraps up, and that'll play a part in things going forward.